probably this committee has done kind of full circle in relation to this issue. Over Christmas, I listened to a podcast by, it was a BBC forecast, but one of the guests was Esther Ranson. And Esther Ranson, over the Christmas period, had come out in relation to support, her support of assisted dying. And she said something very kind of profound, which I probably should have thought about as a person that would support, supportive of assisted dying. But she said, most people are not afraid of dying, but how they die. I think that was a very, very important statement in relation to assisted dying. And, this is a very complex issue. But I believe we can overcome them complexities in relation to what we're trying to grapple with and so forth. And this committee has been given the task of trying to set a path in relation to assisted dying, whether to legislate or not. I believe we should legislate, and safeguards and kind of all them concerns that we all have can only be as good as the legislation we put forward and the eligibility of those that can avail of assisted dying. If hopefully our committee supports and recommends assisted dying, the vast majority of people in Ireland would not be able to avail of assisted dying under the recommendations that hopefully this committee will recommend. And eligibility is very, very important, because obviously who can avail of assisted dying, what circumstances, in relation to time frame and so forth. So they're all very, very important, and it's up to this committee to trash that out over the next 3 or 4 weeks. And I agree, palliative care in this country is very, very, very good. There are deficits in relation to kind of county by county in getting access to palliative care, and we shouldn't conflate palliative care in relation to assisted dying. In some ways, I think they can be almost complementary, and I've said this kind of on numerous occasions. I believe somebody that's in a set of circumstances that is going to die, I think it's a fundamental human right that they have a say in how they die, a say, and they should be able to die on their own terms. I don't think that's radical. I think that's kind of a very kind of contemporary way of actually looking at a kind of a rights-based how somebody wants to have a say in their healthcare. So I believe that's a very fundamental human right, and hopefully my colleagues believe that as well. And we do recommend legislative change. So I don't have any specific question. Just to say, the the HSEs, some of their language in their open statements a bit disappointing. I'll be honest with you. Using the word burden, I think that's being used kind of by opponents of assisted dying kind of negatively in relation to this, and I don't think it's helpful. I think conflating the issue of suicide and assisted dying is very, very unhelpful. So with them comments, I think, as I said, we have to grapple with this issue over the next 3 to 4 weeks. But I believe this can be done. And, public opinion points to, public opinion suggests and points to that a majority of people would support assisted dying in limited circumstances and so forth. So I don't have any specific questions, but just maybe if Siobhan can speak about some of the language that you used, I think it's slightly disappointing.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Deputy. And just to comment, certainly it's not our intention to cause distress or certainly to be pejorative in any sense, and we tried to ensure that language wouldn't be used. The language of burden is something that I as a clinician have heard a lot of people discuss with me. As older people, they have felt a burden. It's a word people have used. In my clinical experience, there's no intention that word would be pejorative in any sense of the word at all. And I know that Fergal may wish to come in on the issue of people not being afraid of dying, but how they die. Fergal, do you have any comment?
Yeah, thanks, Siobhan. So a number of things. I listened to Esther Ranson's podcast also, Deputy Kenny, and my sense is dealing with people who may soon die as part of most of my daily practice, there are three things really. People are afraid of what happens between now and when they die. They're afraid of what dying is like. And for some people who have views alluded to by Deputy Hart, who have a belief system, they wonder about what happens afterwards. So there are three aspects of it. And I would echo, and also in terms of one of the points you made, it's absolutely imperative and a part of good healthcare that people are involved in decisions around their care and that decisions about anybody's care are shared with them, primarily healthcare providers if it's healthcare, and with the involvement of those they know and trust, but as a remove. Speaking of the word of burden, I suppose there is evidence from Oregon and from Canada that up to 45 or 55% of those who inquire about what they call in Canada medical assistance in dying do cite fear of being a burden as one of the reasons for choosing assisted suicide. So I think it is in the literature and the discussions around it where this where assisted dying, as it's called in its broadest term, is available.
Dr. Toomey, there was other indications.
Oh, completely.
More primary than burden. I mean, that's been shown in the evidence across the United States and in Canada, where loss of autonomy, dignity, and pain was kind of, which I thought, before kind of this committee, I thought pain would have been one of the top, but pain was one of the lesser ones, So that's interesting. It's interesting.
It's more. Thank you, Deputy. And I agree that the burden was not the only reason cited. And in fact, fear of pain is cited far more often than pain in and of itself.
Thank you.
Thank you.